best player available regardless of position. I think that's great when you're in your first year running the team from the general manager's perspective. Mm-hmm. When you get to year 4, I think you should fall into that category of having more leeway with regard to drafting need versus just the best player available.
All right, there was a PFF mock draft with a new name that we have not seen. Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College. Now,
wasn't he the ACC Defensive Player of the Year?
Defensive Player of the Year. He was fantastic. And one of the things that I was thinking about when I saw this mock draft was, they brought in Bill O'Brien last year. They had Tim Lewis, who was a 7-year NFL defensive coordinator, and that really led to the spike in production with him. If Dennis Allen got his hands on a guy like Ezeraku, even if it may be a reach at 10, is that something you would be cool with?
I don't think you need to reach at 10.
Yeah, I don't either. I just simply want him to look and go, all right, quarterback to the side. I'm taking the best freaking guy that we all have consensus on. I want my entire room, Ben Johnson and Ian Cunningham and Poles and whoever, Jeff King, and they all sit there and go, okay, that guy's clearly number 1 on our board. Okay, then take him.
Well, Mel's most recent mock draft came out, and he has the Bears taking Georgia pass rusher Mikel Williams.
Yep.
Who I believe fits the profile for a Dennis Allen type of edge rusher. But I think he had an ankle injury early in the season. I think he ended up with 5.5 sacks, something like that this year. But didn't he have an ankle injury that slowed him a little bit to start the season? Mm-hmm. And then in his pro day, just yesterday, I think, wasn't it? He ran
a couple days ago, but it was 4.74.
Yeah, which is a very disappointing time for him.
For a guy whose athleticism is supposed to leap off the charts.
Correct.
A 4.74 is not.
So that's the guy that Mel has mocked to them. And he also has the kid, the tackle from Missouri, still on the board, going to the 49ers at 11. My hope, again, I'm not sure, everyday draft guru here. I don't follow that as closely as others. I know Shea and Tyler and others kind of keep a closer eye on that. But from what I understand, the kid from Missouri is now the number 1 rated offensive tackle. Is that correct?
Membo. I mean, it depends where you go. Some people still like Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell you'll see fly off the board in most mock drafts.
Okay, explain to me. They said his arms are like 3/8 of an inch,
I don't even think it's that.
Of an inch.
I don't even think it's that. It's like you're supposed to have 33-inch arms to be in the kind of the.
It's like the bare minimum
tackle.
for left tackle.
And he's like, what, 32 7/8 or 32 3/4?
A quarter of an inch. And I'm like,
I'm with you. I don't get how that.
Can you play football or not?
Yeah.
Do you want a T-Rex, no arms at your tackle position?
But if you look at Olin at center, Olin went in the 3rd round. He had some. He has talked about
that's the key.
But he's talked about he had some red flags. Some teams wouldn't draft him. He said, in the end, do you play through pain? Are you a leader? And are you out there competing?
Olin would probably also tell you, though, that arm length is not as important at center as it may be on the edge at left or right tackle.
But a quarter of an inch?
That's my point is like we're going to give you the green flag to go at 33 inches, but we're going to give you the red flag to stop you at 32 7/8 or 32 3/4. That I don't understand a lot. But the kid from Missouri, I think from a lot of people's perspective, is actually the highest rated offensive tackle, is he not?
I mean,
depending on where you're going.
Yeah, it depends.
What about
like if you find
from
yourself
Alabama? Is it the kid? No, it's from Texas.
Kelvin Banks.
Yeah,
short
the
arms
guard
again.
is Tyler Booker at Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you're looking at this, I don't mean to hijack this segment, but if you're looking at what Mel has pointed out, would you rather have the tackle from Missouri or the kid that Mel's got mocked, the edge rusher who, may not be the athlete that you think, unless there's an excuse or a good explanation for why he wasn't as fast in his pro day.
I think this is where, I don't know how you guys feel, but this is where you play the board and the position depth a little bit. It seems like there's a lot more edge rushers and tackles of it, defensive tackles available in the 2nd and 3rd rounds,
right,
where the Bears have a couple of picks.
And with that in mind, Jeff, like to Cap saying best player available regardless of position, I think that's great when you're in your first year running the team from the general manager's perspective. Mm-hmm. When you get to year 4, I think you should fall into that category of having more leeway with regard to drafting need versus just the best player available. Like if it's a cornerback, I'm not advocating for them drafting a cornerback at 10. I don't care if it's the kid from Alabama or wherever he is from who is
but what
the
if you're
highest rated.
sitting in
It's Michigan.
Michigan,
right?
yeah, Will
Okay,
Johnson.
what if you're sitting in the draft room and you say, okay, that kid right there, he is an all-pro corner. He's the best guy on our board, and it's not close. But I'd really like to get that offensive guard. I think he's going to be a really good starter. The corner is light years higher ceiling.
Well, we're again in year 4 of your tenure as the general manager with a bunch of holes because you've missed in the past. I think at this point, they've got to be a little more need conscious in this situation. Going back to his first year when he drafted Gordon and Brisker in the second round.
Because he said they were by far the number one guy.
Totally on board with that. That's what I'm saying, time and place. Year 4, I think that they have a little bit more, I think, freedom to draft based on positional need, especially at the line of scrimmage. It's the reason why if Ashton Genty's there at 10, I don't want to do that. What if Ashton Genty's there at 10, he's going to be the highest rated player regardless
what do
of
you
position.
do if you're the GM and your guys en masse walk in? There's Jeff King and Ian Cunningham and Ben Johnson, and they walk in, they go, Ryan, you got to take Genty. It's not close. You got to take him. What do you do?
Well, at that point, I'm going to listen to my coach and my crew. It's not the route I would go. But I'm not in the room, and I'm not the one scouting all of these guys. I look at this from a wider lens perspective and say,
So if you were running the
your
Lions, you wouldn't have
offensive
taken Jahmyr Gibbs.
That was a luxury pick. They were more complete at that time. If this team looked like that Lions team from a couple of years ago, I'd be more willing to make that pick. That's what I'm saying.
I saw the
tight
quote.
end as well as a luxury pick at that spot.
I don't believe Tyler Warren belongs at 10. I think that's too high for him.
Yeah, again, I'm not a draft expert, but he's not Brock Bowers. He's a different type of tight end. I think you would duplicate it'd be a duplicate in terms of what your skill set is with Cole
Howie
Kmet.
Roseman, the architect of the Eagles. I think he's awesome. He was doing an interview at the Combine, and they asked him about how do you differentiate best guy on the board. He said, if it's close, if you think you have enough pass rushers or enough blockers,
You don't.
You don't. They get hurt. Take another one.
But the the Eagles as well, they can draft based on a number of different things because their roster is so complete. Mm-hmm. Once you have done that job, you have more luxury, you have more leeway, you have more options.
So your number one need then you're taking is what? Offensive line or defensive?
Offensive or defensive line, whoever. Yes, I would. That's where I would give you the leeway if it's an offensive tackle or it's a pass rusher.
Not taking a receiver.
I'm not, no.